Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Jeff Green, president of Green Team Realty. Thank you for joining us for the December 2019 housing market updates. Unbelievable that December is here already. Holidays are upon us. Let's jump right in. I know everybody's busy for the holiday season, and I know how much you love hearing from us, but I'm sure you have better and bigger things to do. So let's start out right here on some good news. Really from an overall economic standpoint as well as just from a real estate market. Economists seem to be pushing back on the recession timetable, meaning that, the people who were, bearish about different things are maybe changing their tune a little bit. And it doesn't seem as if many people think that a recession is going to happen in 2020 based upon metrics that are coming out right now at the current time. So that's good news. There's a few people that think we're going to get another 5 years before we see a recession, but who knows what really happens. I guess the truth usually lies somewhere in between, right? Isn't that the old adage? Moving on here. Sorry, my computer's working a little slow. Increased purchasing power. This is important, right? At the end of the day, it comes down to monthly cash flow for people. In other words, it's almost irrelevant what the price of the house is. It's much more relevant what it costs on a monthly basis to live in a house. So what's been happening is while prices have increased, mortgage rates have gone down pretty substantially over the last couple of years, making the ability for people to make the purchase that much greater. So you can see in this chart here, during the year of 2019, that there has been a decline in the payment as a percentage of increasing as a percentage of income, meaning that the mortgage payment has gone down in relation to people's income that is coming in. Another factor in all of this is wage increases. People have been making more money over the last couple of years because of a strong economy, so it has led to a sustained positive housing environment. So again, this just shows a quick, chart about home prices and the negative impact on buyers' purchasing power. So if you take the, I'm sure what they're doing is taking the average home price throughout the country and the average rate of appreciation, and they're, taking those two metrics and getting $21,000 on the negative side. But mortgage rates have positively impacted purchasing power more than double that. Wages have impacted it pretty, significantly, but not as much as mortgages. So you have a good net result. The net result is that it's easier and easier for people to buy homes with these two factors, mortgage rates and wages, on the upward tick. So this is great, right? Because it tells us what are Americans thinking about home ownership. And I think it's fundamental to our country that people perceive home ownership in a positive light because it has so many benefits, right? Not just financial, but also benefits for the family, for stability in communities, so on and so forth. So people are thinking that it's even more safe to invest in a home than a savings account. So that's interesting and also inspiring. Rent. Yep. Rent rates have been out of control. This is funny, the quote, right? There has never been a bad time to be a landlord. Well, maybe yes, maybe no, but I can tell you that I am an owner of apartment units, and it's been very steady for sure. And it is remarkable sometimes how people will just stay in place and not buy a home, and that's a problem. People should jump into home ownership and engage because there's just so many benefits to it. So anyway, rent values are increasing, not decreasing. So again, yet another reason to buy a home. So on a more local level, let's take a look at Orange County, New York, and the number of units sold here. So you can see the green line, which is 2019. It's been a little bit of a mixed bag this year, right? Up some months, down some months, up some months. In November, we were up again over all previous years shown on this chart, going back to 2014. On our next housing market update in January, we'll close out the year and have the full year. But I have no reason to believe that it's going to be any substantial surprise, if you will, anything much lower than probably these 3 years right here. So I think we're going to finish off at a good level. Average sales price, you can see it's been pretty much up all year long with the exception of August and March. And really no reason to believe why the rate of appreciation shouldn't continue to increase modestly throughout 2020. I don't think there's anyone that can argue against that. Asked to sold ratio, in other words, this is the last asking price of the home versus where it's sold. So you can see that a very high ratio, right? This means how much do sellers on average have to negotiate off their asking price? It was less than 2% in July. That's remarkable. That's a really historically high number. In November, it dipped all the way down to about 96.5%, but still a very good number. So we're really talking about historical strength here, right? Even though you're seeing some ups and downs, historically, there's still very good numbers. Days on market continues to be low, but you do see it creeping up here a little bit, right? You see the lines kind of converging back here in July and September. It's there, and it looked like it crossed over in October, November. So, it means that the market's cooling a little bit, but that's to be expected, right? I mean, it's been such a red hot market here for some time. So now let's move south of the border into Sussex County, New Jersey, and take a look here. A little bit of a different story, not too much, but still a bit of a mixed bag, but really not any month was the highest of the last 3 years in Sussex County. In Orange County, we saw several months exceeding that of the previous 2 years, but not in Sussex County. And you can even see down in November here, we dropped down below the last 3 years. So it's the fourth lowest of the last 4 in terms of units sold. So, not necessarily what we want to see, but it is what it is, right? Average price still pretty strong here. Took a while for Sussex County to come around in terms of price appreciation, but it's holding its own. Prices are still seem to be increasing at a pretty good level. Ask to sold ratio, again, the last asking price versus the sale price. You can see, not quite as strong as what you saw in Orange County, but nonetheless still good numbers. I mean, you're talking 97%, 98%. It's dipping down here towards 96%, but still it's a very strong historical number. And especially when you take into consideration, 2014, 15, and 16, there was almost 2 full percentage points lower. Days on market, again, Sussex really holding its own, still showing a pretty hot market, but yet again, here it did cross over right in November. So we are seeing continued cooling effect here. So some housekeeping here before we get to our panel with Karen Gonen, who's waiting for us patiently. The next housing market update is going to be Tuesday, January 21st at 2 p.m. Don't forget, you can always stay in touch, and our marketing director does a really nice job with this page, the housing market update page on our site, so you can always see recorded versions of this, previous stats, so on and so forth. It's an excellent resource. You should use it. And thanks to our friends at Really, the real estate referral community. For those of you who are real estate professionals, you can join for free at reallyhq.com. Okay, so Karen, I'm coming out to you here. How you doing? You could unmute your mic.
Good, Jeff. How are you?
Good. So, we've been doing this all year long, you and I, with some other guest appearances from some other agents who every now and then show up, but primarily it's been me and you. And, it's been a year of trying to figure out kind of where this market is headed. And I think the sum total is that, yes, it slowed down, but at a very soft landing, right? I think it's been a very strong year altogether.
I think one of the things that's important to remember is the fact that the reason there were fewer units sold is because there were fewer units listed in Sussex County. What happens is the sellers are deciding to hold on to their houses. They're on the fence as to whether or not they should sell because they want to see what the new year brings. So even though their agents are telling them, hey, this is the time to sell, don't hold on, because when you try to release, so will everybody else. They're still holding tight. And that's one of the main reasons that we haven't sold as many, because we don't have that much of an inventory. The other thing that I've noticed happening is that a lot of houses are being listed way too high, as in unrealistic type of high, where a house should be sold at 200. It's being listed at 250. At 250, it just doesn't make sense. It's not going to sell for that, but the sellers are holding out. So that's one more thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, I think there's always a natural amount of overpriced listings, if you will. I just think that's a human condition that's going to
I
exist
agree.
in any marketplace. But you might be right because maybe there is a higher percentage of overpriced listings right now, just because, maybe people don't really want to sell, but they're thinking to themselves, well, the market's really strong right now. It was really bad 5, 6 years ago. Maybe I should just throw it out there and see what happens, and I'll move if the right deal comes along. That's a real mentality that I personally dealt with many times at kitchen tables with people listing their homes. And then, so yeah, I guess your point, it's an inventory problem, right? I mean, your sentiments there echo what a lot of the national economists have been echoing for some time, is that it's really an inventory problem. This market, if there were more units to sell, you would see more units on the stats. But the problem is that there's been a glut, and new construction hasn't really taken off as fast as it should have. And a lot of that has to do with local planning boards and planning processes and stuff like that. So, but I think maybe in the end, again, the sum total of what's happening here is maybe all of this has been really good because it didn't allow for such a rapid increase. So maybe now we'll see a little bit longer of a sustained recovery to this housing market, and maybe even a little bit of a rebound next year or the year after, which would be pretty cool, right?
Absolutely. I actually have quite a few listings that I'm sitting on because the sellers are not ready to list. They know they're listing with me. That's our plan, but they don't want to list yet. That's not what they want to do, and they're just holding out. So I'm expecting quite a few listings to come in through the first quarter of the
Yeah,
year.
great. Well, that's good news for you. That's good news for me and for all the sellers who are about to hire you, because they're about to get the Karen Gonan experience, right? Which I
Yes.
know for a fact is a good one, because many of your clients have called me to tell me how great you are. So that's a good thing. All
Oh,
right.
thank
Well,
you.
Karen, do you have anything else compelling to tell our viewers before we wish them a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, and a Happy Holiday season?
Just list your houses. We don't know what's going to happen, so
Yeah,
let's get
yeah.
it
And
done
I can
now.
just tell you from 15 years of experience full time in this industry, right after the new year is a great time to get going. The market really does start right off the bat. And it really, I have to say, it hasn't really stopped. It's been a very strong holiday season. I get to see all the transactions that are coming in and listings that are happening. It's been a very active holiday season. So with that,
Absolutely.
Karen, real quick, how do people get a hold of you if they want to?
Well, for the next 2 weeks, they can reach me on WhatsApp at 551-262-4062. After the new year, they can just call me on my cell at 551-262-4062.
Now, the reason why they can reach you on WhatsApp is because you're traveling internationally during this holiday season, right?
I'm actually at the airport right now.
All right. Well, have a safe flight. Have a lot of fun, and don't do too much work while you're away. Enjoy the Holy Land.
I'm going to try, but I'm not making any promises.
All right. 10-4. Sounds good. Thank you, Karen. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next month, January 21st at 2 p.m. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.